What's with the smirk?
Nothing.
What are you smirking about?
Just something funny because I'm so funny.
What was it?
It was just a video.
Oh. You've been doing the old content creator video thing today. Like yesterday you approached me and you're like, I need a camera.
Yes.
Which you've done that kind of before too.
I can't explain it, but I have these like waves of getting like really into posting content and doing it regularly, and then like being burnt out by it and being like, I hate Instagram.
Why is it? Why do you hate it? Is it because the effort you put in, you don't see the results?
That's probably a part of it. And then I mean, it is a lot of work. And when you're not seeing a ton of, like, especially right now, part of me is like, why am I even trying? And everybody's feeling this. I know with like engagement and all the algorithm stuff, people are really annoyed by it. And I'm feeling that. I'm seeing that. Engagement's like really low, but I also have a lot of ideas and a lot of content right now, like holiday stuff. So I'm like, might as well post it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I like to do it. I like editing, creating videos and photos. So
you get discouraged, but it doesn't make you go, I'm going to try to figure it out, because that's where my brain goes.
Well, I don't know how to figure it out. I've tried. How do you figure it out?
By doing and changing things.
I mean, that's kind of what I'm doing. I'm like, okay, if that's not working, maybe I need to, my next thing was like, maybe I need to create higher quality photos and videos. And so that was kind of my next level up. But I used your camera and the video
lost
quality. No, everybody was like, I can tell. Did you use one of Alex's cameras? No, the video quality wasn't any better.
Well, it's not going to be better unless you're adding lighting to it. iPhones, video cameras, none of them really do too much justice. Yes, there's higher sensors in cameras that are nicer. So for example, this camera right here, this is the Sony A7, A7 Mark III. And it is probably a 10X from my last camera, which is a G7X.
And this is the one you use?
This is the one that I use for pictures. This is the one that I use for video. Not when we shoot YouTube. But like, we will use it
thumbnails and stuff.
If it's just me shooting that day on a very rare occasion. This is the camera that I use. Right, the thumbnails. This is the camera that I use. But this camera, the sensor on it, which like will be able to make a photo more lighter because it's dark in the environment, is a higher sensor. But the idea behind all of these cameras is you want to run the sensor as low as possible so you don't have the grain, so the image becomes the most crispiest, right? So lighting is everything.
Mm-hmm. But I feel like my lighting was good. For some reason, it was very grainy.
What you're doing is, well, that's a whole different thing. The waves that you're going through right now in your head of frustration, it's what every single person goes through. It's something that I went through in the very beginning stages where I go, it's not working. Well, I think tech is the answer to my problem. And so you end up buying more and more tech. You buy more light bars, you buy more cameras, more lenses, more. You start putting in holes in the wall, putting a new window in. Like you start creating, you're like, I need to chase it. So when you create the environment, it's a different story. The environment, like I said, in our last house, I put in a window in the garage, right? Because now I have more natural light. I added a bunch of LED lights for lighting inside of it. That helps. But the tech is one thing. If you're competing about people's attention, I've learned this, and obviously if somebody told me this in the very beginning, I still wouldn't listen to them because we're always looking for excuses when we're frustrated. But tech is never the answer to the reason why your videos are not being watched. It's your content. Your content sucks. And I'm not talking about to you. I'm talking about in general. Like that's something that I would tell to myself is like, even right now, my views are fine. But compared to other people have huge views. And so the answer to that problem in my mind is my content sucks. It's not necessarily that it's light, dark, airy, whatever it is. It's just either my personality sucks, my presentation sucks, or, the idea sucks. Like it just sucks. And it's okay.
I see that side of it in terms of engagement. But to me, what I meant by leveling up is like, I noticed that my videos were like blurry and like kind of grainy. And so that was, I did want to level that up. And I know a lot of it is lighting and everything, but I just, I don't know. I have, when I see other people's videos that are like so crisp and so just beautifully done, I'm like, how do they do that? Is that like a intense, expensive camera, or is that the perfect light in the room?
I don't think it's a terribly expensive camera. I'm sure those people are still using DSLR cameras. I don't think they're using iPhones. I still think they're using DSLR cameras with a good lens. A good lens is better than, anything else, right? It's not necessarily the camera, it's the lens that helps you with that. It brings more light into it. But then it also gets paired evenly with lighting. So if you look at some of the top TikTok accounts, they all have a ring light and their camera is mounted to that ring light, and it's a perfectly evenly diffused lighting. Like it's just part of the thing.
I guess I'll keep trying.
But
follow-up question: can I use that camera?
Why would you want to use that camera?
Because it's better.
No. So the answer to that is no. You can't use it because of that.
Because it's better.
No, because you can't make excuses. It's just like you naturally. Okay, can I be completely honest with you? And I don't want to be hurtful about it, but like I saw your reef video, and the first 10 seconds of it before the ribbon came on, I kind of didn't know if the photo was even the video was even changing, right? Because it was greenery, and I know you showed on camera like I'm adding this flare of greenery to it.
Well, that's what I mean. Like the video was blurry.
No, but it's very camouflaged. Like it's very much of going like, hey, here's a dark forest green reef, and here's a dark forest green thing that when I put it on, you'll only see maybe 3% of the change because it'll have little like almost it looks like a feather sticking out of it on the sides. It's just not enough. I love this. Remember when I told you that one of my favorite things to do after work is change, take a shower, and cocktail hour, and then lay on the couch before the kids get home, and I'll watch for about an hour like different YouTube stuff, right? Whether look at the thumbnails, I'll actually take a screen grab of thumbnails. That's my way of doing like research in the field that I'm in. That's like my 1 hour that I'm sitting there, I'm like doing research of like what's captivating. Why did that thumbnail capture my attention? I'm reverse engineering the thing. And so you should be kind of consuming content intentionally the same way, not just strictly for entertainment. Do it for entertainment at the end of the day, but have like an hour of your day in the morning or when the kid is taking a nap or whatever it is. But like you have that 1 hour where you're truly just studying content, studying of like, why did that video capture your attention? And you're in the same space. Maybe they're in the same home renovation space. Maybe they're in the design space, whatever the same content is in your lane. Ask yourself, write it down. Maybe it was a thumbnail if it's on YouTube. If it's not on YouTube, but it's on, let's say, like on Instagram Reels, what was the first 10 seconds of that video? Was it somebody doing something wild, somebody doing something crazy? Was it a shock? You have to do that kind of market research to understand it in order to go and be like, I'm changing things up. Because this is not going to change anything. Like we have videos that we've done, with almost, $750,000 subscribers. Kyle has a $7,000 camera. How much is your camera? With the lens and everything.
Probably like 5 these days.
So these days, $5,000 to $6,000. Really, I mean, that's 4 of my cameras, and no matter how great it's shot, no matter how much cinematography is there, we're still competing for people's attention. So we could, in the very beginning, actually, when Kyle started working with us, I was like, hey man, I want B-roll. I want cool cinematic, high production B-roll, and we did that. And we saw a huge drop off because that's not how people consume content. So that $5,000-$6,000 camera didn't help us create a better product in terms of competing for people's attention. Yes, it bundled everything up nicely. We were proud of it, but people didn't challenge for that attention. So, one of the things like we did on today's video that's coming out by the time this podcast is done, when we did the ad read, usually ad reads drop off. You can see the waveform start, nice and high. And then if there's an ad read, it makes like a big U. And that's people fast forwarding forward. They're not watching it. And that's a drop off. And then it continues straight. And then the question we got is like, well, what if we figure out a way how to create ad reads a little bit more entertaining? Because I've seen some really entertaining ad reads. Like,
right. People know how to do it.
There's one account, Heavy D Sparks. He's this guy out of Utah. They have a show, I think, on like the Discovery Channel or something like that. But when he does YouTube videos and he does ad reads, they're skits. And sometimes they're like these adventurous skits where you don't know like this scene, if this is part of the video or is this actually an introduction to the ad read? But because you've been captivated, you don't
gonna watch
feel, you feel so captivated for the first, I don't know how long, maybe 30 seconds, 60 seconds, because the ad read's usually about 2 minutes, that you don't want to, you're so thoroughly entertained that you don't want to reach for your remote to skip through it or buffer through it. So that's my way of going, I need to study this content, how to compete for people's attention to minimize that drop off. So with your situation, you need to start questioning yourself of, how do I capture people's attention?
Well, so you're right about that, but to follow that up, it's interesting because my reels that do the best are like the funny, entertaining ones, but that doesn't translate to getting followers ever to me.
Doesn't translate to getting followers.
So like when I have a video that does really well, I don't necessarily gain a ton of followers from it.
Okay.
So how come there's this disconnect there?
So followers jump on board for one of two reasons. There is value that you give to them, meaning education, or there is a comedic relief. And maybe there's 3 or 4 other ones, but in the way you and I and the majority of people, it's either it's very entertaining or it's very informative. And that is a way for somebody to be like, you know what, I'm going to give you my follow.
So what if you do both? Is that two different, like, do you need to have it be more very specific where you do one or the other, or can you have both? Like do some funny videos, do some informative videos?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I feel like it almost feels like to me like I have both, and it's almost like people don't know which one.
What they're here for?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so maybe that's why I'm not like getting followers anymore.
So so here's what I would present to you. Now, keep in mind, I have not done the market research of what that genre of decor looks like. I follow a lot of people who make me laugh. Like Julie Nolke, that's one of the YouTube girls that I was telling you about. Like she does skits. She's absolutely hilarious. There's no informative stuff. It's all comedic writing. And then there's, hundreds of accounts that I follow on TikTok who are truly just funny people. Like one guy creates these videos where he splices a movie scene and then him reacting to this, like Ben Affleck coming in. And so he responds. So that's pure entertainment. What I personally haven't seen, again, and I haven't done the market research for your field, but what I personally haven't seen is somebody who, I've seen people do very funny stuff. Girls do really funny stuff. And I've seen girls do very informative decor stuff. But what I haven't seen is both bundled up into like a ball, right? And like presented as a package where I'm going to show you this design stuff with so much quirkiness and humor that the girl or the guy that's watching that goes, I feel like I could relate to this person and I want to be their best friend.
Well, that was my reasoning to do these reels where they're like just whether it's the voiceover or what is it, the dub when you're like mouthing the words. That was one of the reasons I was trying to do more of those, because I feel like then people can like see my personality more. And but in a way I feel like it's almost been a negative thing, because before it was just strictly home stuff.
I think you need to find a lane that's between the two and present it between the two. But here's the one big kicker that I've learned, and I specifically learned this from YouTube Shorts, because YouTube Shorts is going to be this huge thing that's starting
just like Reels.
February. Yes, it's just like Reels, but starting February, it's going to be the biggest thing, because it's YouTube's thing that competes with Reels and TikToks, but it's a way for them to split revenue share the same way you would on YouTube. So instead of you getting 1 million views on TikTok and getting maybe $1,000 out of it at most, you get 1 million views on a short and you're splitting that into a couple of tens of thousands of dollars. So that's going to make a lot of these viral TikTok stars jump over to these shorts and to do that kind of stuff. Now, what am I learning from shorts right now? Because you can put them out, you're just not monetizing them right now before February.
To backtrack a little, if you put them out right now,
will they get monetized? I don't know. I'm still clicking monetized in case they do allow.
Or will you have to re-upload them?
I think they're still gonna cycle, just like when you uploaded a reel from a year ago. It still cycles through the thing. So I think it just exists. So I don't think you need to re-upload it.
But will you get paid for the views you had before?
I think you will because
will?
you hit monetize now on it. But that's my theory.
Interesting. That'll
Now-
be interesting to see. You said it's January?
That's February. Now, here's what I've learned from studying shorts, right? Because it's a whole new beast that I'm trying to learn. Even though it's consumed the content's still consumed the same way as TikTok and Reel, so it's nothing new. But I want to see how that flows your YouTube into it. So you're capturing people who is not your audience. So your audience is your YouTube shorts are being presented to not only your audience but the people who don't even follow you yet. And if you created a small enough, quick enough, digestible content, then you are now attracting a new form of audience. So now you're getting people subscribing to your channel strictly from a short because you took a long formatted thing and extracted a small thing and then you caught them with it. Maybe it's your personality, maybe it's the knowledge, maybe it's the production value, who knows? Now, what did I learn from that I would pass on to you or anybody else when you create not only shorts, but most importantly, when you do Reels and TikToks and all that stuff, and I've seen it being played out on my Instagram, is focus on the shortest, absolute shortest attention span.
So what are you saying, like 10 seconds?
When people go, well, TikTok or Instagram, you can only do 1 minute reel, and then they changed it to three minutes, like TikTok. People said, well, here's my piece of content that I'm going to recycle or create new, and then I'm going to upload it, and then boom. You didn't capture anybody's attention, so nobody watched your 3 minute thing or 2 minute thing, whatever it is. Instead, focus on in the very beginning stages with the smallest, quickest content. Like
are you talking about for the shorts?
For shorts,
or
yeah.
for Reels too?
Both. It applies to absolutely all of it, but I learned this through the thing of shorts. Is if you start getting shorts are very new right now. Yes, they've come out already for at least a year, but they're being highly like rebranded right now. So it's important that everybody starts putting out shorts. And so what you don't want to do is start putting out long formatted stuff that you're not captivating people's attention, and then therefore your shorts don't get published and promoted, right? So my rule of thumb that I've learned is put out 15-second things. If you can find a 15-second piece of content that entertains and or maybe it educates, whatever it is, but you got just the nitty-gritty, the meat and potatoes of 15 seconds, that is enough for you to be successful anywhere. You will see that translating to your
So maybe
reels.
that's my problem. It's just my reels are too long.
You're starting out and you're going like, okay, how I'm updating my, I don't want to knock on your reef. I really don't want to be mean to it. But it's like, I'm going to.
Stay away from my reef video.
We not only have a reef on the front side of the front door, but also on the back side of the door.
No, that was for the video.
Just for the
also, it's a wreath, not reef.
Is it like hearth?
It's not woof. It's a wolf.
Wolf.
That's what I said. Woof.
So I think that's what so in YouTube metrics, just the regular YouTube, the waveform counts the view starting at 30 seconds. So a person has to watch your video for 30 seconds before it gets registered actually as a view. So you can click on somebody's thing and click off. They didn't
What
get a
about
view.
for a short or a reel?
I don't know about
What's
short and reel. I
the-
just signed up for their conference that they're supposed to do like a workshop on explaining what that stuff is. But on YouTube, you need 30 seconds. So what does that tell you? If that's a long formatted video and you have 30 seconds to count it a view, and then you could see a drop off. So if 100% of people, so let's say if 100 people clicked on your YouTube video, let's say on my YouTube video, 100 people, every video on average, roughly around, we've kind of tightened it up from like 67, 68%. Now we're at like 78, close to 80%. 80% of the 100 people, so 80 people, essentially 78, 80 people are sticking around past the 30-second mark, meaning that wasn't an accidental click. It wasn't something. So I had to have hooked them with the first 30 seconds to make them want to stay. If that's what you do on YouTube, imagine how much harder you have to work on a shorter form of content.
Right.
So
It's to be
30
media.
seconds, split that even in half. So if you're putting out a 15-second clip, that means you're supposed to put some kind of high energy, high bait within the first 5 seconds before they're out. Now, if you can successfully do that time and time again, 15 seconds at a time, you're going to get pushed and promoted. It's just,
I guess I 100% understand that, and maybe that's where I need to go. But then to like be the devil's advocate, I see a lot of videos that are longer, that are very slow, that have slow music, and I get tons and tons of views. How?
Yeah, they're the exception to the rule. They're not the rule. How do you have a podcast like Joe Rogan for 4-hour conversations
That's true.
and people are sticking around? That is an exception. That is not the rule. unless you've either indexed in
But
that.
it's like we all just see the exception. And we all want to be the exception.
That's why people always think YouTube is so easy. That's why
Yeah,
people say
yeah.
like, oh, social media is so easy. It's because if it was easy, everybody would be doing it. And so don't think about it as like, I just have to do what they're doing. Think about it as like, how do I stand out further?
Well,
outside
I
of
guess for me, those are the videos I'm seeing is the people that are the exceptions.
You're
so it
not
bothers
studying.
me.
You're not
Yeah.
studying enough content out there. You really got to study the market and be like, okay, so why is it that Studio McGee is getting this kind of view, which she's a huge person? Shouldn't she be like in the million? How many views does she get?
I don't know.
A lot. I don't know.
Probably.
Well,
They're the exception for sure. But I guess to me, I'm seeing. I don't really compare myself, obviously, to like these big accounts. I'm more. I guess what frustrates me is when I see accounts with a similar following as me in the similar niche, and then seeing how well their
okay.
videos are doing and how many views, and I'm like,
So,
oh.
so we spoke about this a while ago, but, and again, I'm referencing to YouTube and you're talking to Instagram, but it's the same. It's the same analogy. So every hour, was it every hour I said? Or no, every minute. Every minute there's 600 hours of YouTube content being uploaded to YouTube. Every single minute, okay? So you're competing for people's attention. The reason she's doing well is because she's dominating those. She's stealing that attention. So you need to be able to present your content in a slightly different, a slightly more organic way that's going to make somebody want to watch Irina and not whatever.
Suzanne. But that's what I mean is like, if you are saying it needs to be like, especially reels need to be this quick attention grabbing, how come some videos and like you said, it's exception, but it's, I guess to me, I'm like, how is that working for them?
They already indexed it. They already got indexed in the thing as they're the person for this thing.
Oh, so like
And
the
YouTube
algorithm
presents
is
it.
like,
Well, the YouTube, and it's not that necessarily, I had to learn how to stop using terminology like the algorithm likes this. You got to replace the word algorithm with people. The people are accustomed to that person to be the dominant voice or what's the word that I'm looking for? The authority in that field. So it's going to present their content. So on your analytics, it's going to say, so let's say I put out a video. It's going to say it got this many impressions. So it had this many opportunities to be watched on people's screens, right? And then from that, at the bottom, it'll say how much of those impressions were recommended by YouTube. And on average, my videos are roughly between like 75 to 80%. And that's considered like a good video on average. So that means that YouTube knows that I'm the authority voice in my genre. So when somebody's trying to do any kind of home stuff, any kind of building, it kind of indexes it already and starts presenting my content to those people. That's why I can get away with making a 30-minute video, right, on YouTube and still have it perform well. Versus other people might complain and go like, wait, why do I have to make 6 to 8 minute videos, 6 to 8 minute, home renovation videos when there's this dummy who's making 30-minute videos and they do 500,000 views. It's just because I was indexed within their searchability. I have over close to 200 YouTube videos uploaded that are in the realm of DIY building and home renovation. So naturally YouTube has I've kind of won their favor of going, you are an authority in this. So this is a good piece of product that's going to be promoted. Other people who have not established that, they don't have that YouTube promoting, or not even, I don't want to say promoting it, pushing it, I guess. So when somebody types in DIY, there's a reason why your name didn't put up with it, because you don't have either enough content for YouTube to be like, you've been around doing this thing long enough, or B, it's not quality piece of content that you've kind of, clickbaited a lot or something like that. But if you, in the very beginning stages, start on a shorter scale, and I did that on YouTube in the very beginning. I started with 6-minute videos and had to incrementally build my way up. You do the same thing with shorter form content. If it's a TikTok, it's a reel, it's a short, YouTube short, start with 15 seconds. Be really good about having people watch it 107, 110%. That means they watch it over and then watch it over again almost. And then after that, slowly stretch to 30 seconds. And once you get good or skillful about competing for people's attention and holding that attention, then from that, it's a cakewalk.
We'll see.
But the problem is like you're reacting to the same way every content creator
Oh,
responds.
I know. And
You
it's like,
go-
I'm I know that everybody goes through this, and especially right now, I've seen a lot of people posting about how frustrating right now it is just on being on Instagram. I keep wanting to put my
I know. I took the armrest off. Yeah.
yeah. But
Can you go down? Okay.
Alex took the armrest off the chairs, and now I keep trying to put my arms down. I can't. And now I forgot what I was saying. Oh, I was saying how like everybody goes through this and everybody's going through it right now, but it still like hits you, where it hurts.
Do you know?
Like there's nothing more frustrating than like
It's true.
putting out a video you're really proud of. And I think the worst feeling for me is there's been a couple either photos or videos where I'm like, this is good.
Yeah.
Like I really like this. The quality was good. I feel like it was captivating, and it was like the lowest views. And I'm like, why?
Now imagine the pressure of that kind of emotional roller coaster, but the pressure of it's your job to make sure you get a paycheck in order to keep providing.
This
that.
isn't just for fun. Yeah.
This is not my husband is a so and so, and I works for a corporate office, and this is my side gig, and I just happen to have like a thing
Right.
do well. No, this
No,
is
that's
like
a lot of pressure.
This is
Yeah.
like we can go on, homeless if I can't figure out how to make videos that work. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, but here's the thing, and this is where I think you have to redirect, and you have to redirect your energy and your perspective, because what most people go, and I've done this too, is the algorithm this, the algorithm that. I create a good product. The product is, speaks for itself. It's quality, blah, 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 blah. And then they go, it's just the algorithm. And you get frustrated because other people you might think have a crappier product that they put out, but they get better views. Instead, what I've learned over the years is that you truly have to take your mind away from jealousy perspective and I'm the victim to, okay, well, it's not necessarily the algorithm that changed. It's the way people are consuming content is changing. And these platforms, they're designed to cultivate the way people are consuming the content. So it's not necessarily that how many billions of people live on Earth? What, 44 billion people, or however many that is. It's not necessarily over a course of a month, everybody decide to like have this rewiring of like, now we all consume content like this. That's not the case. Every platform like shaped the way we consume content. When Snapchat came into the into the spotlight, it redirected the way people consume content. Then when TikTok came out, everybody made fun of it, and then everybody else started consuming it, and now that reshaped the way we consume content. So now Instagram Reels started being pushed. Now Shorts started being pushed because other platforms are shaping the way we consume that content. So what you have to do, that the people that don't survive in the industry, so there's the saying, and I've said this before, a YouTuber's career is usually no more than 10 years, right? And the reason why is because past that 10 years, they didn't keep up with the changes that were happening. So the people who went, oh, the algorithm this and the algorithm that, they stuck in that victimhood mentality, and they never adapted, and they never like acclimated to any kind of changes. So instead of you going, I don't get it, why is she getting those views and I'm not? It's a better product, or, oh man, this sucks because I used to get this many impressions, now I don't. Instead, you should be changing your perspective and going, that a lot of people don't do, is change your perspective and go, okay, how do I hook people's attention better? Obsess about it the same way I obsess about thumbnails. What kind of colors do I need to use? What kind of compilation do I need to use? Where's this first third to this 2/3 of a screen? Is it too wide? Make the image small, that it's only like 2 inches by 2 inches tall, and then make the image really big so you can see the colors are vibrant. Like, you obsess about it that long, and if you obsess about it, you might not win today, but you will win in the long run, and you will survive. The people who don't survive and they become unemployed on YouTube or social media or whatever kind of influencer are the people who said the algorithm is against me, and therefore
I quit.
they go in the back.
I mean, maybe I just need to stop producing garbage stuff.
That's the perspective. That's the mindset. And that's it. And you know what, though? It's a very mean thing to say, like, your content sucks. But when you can say that about yourself and be like, my content sucks.
I was joking. My content does not suck.
Content. If you could say, I say that about me, and it makes me feel, there's a relief of pressure. Where
Yeah,
I'll, like,
you
I'll
go, okay, well, the next one I'm going to do better.
Because the last thing you want is people going like, no, you tried hard. No, what you want to be like, this is trash. Because if you think it's trash, that means you're capable of something far greater.
Better.
You're just too early to it. You haven't figured it out.
I guess, yeah. So I know you say it's not the algorithm, it's like the people.
Yes.
And I'm only seeing this on Instagram. I don't really, I try to get into TikTok. There's too many things right now.
Sure. We would be so broke and so homeless if you were the breadwinner in the social media world. If you were a YouTuber.
I just don't want to do it anymore.
Like,
yeah.
I'm just tired.
Today, I'm just tired. And I don't know if this is the case on YouTube, because I know YouTube went through this thing too, where everybody's views were really low. Everybody on Instagram is experiencing that. Even huge accounts that have millions of followers are saying their engagement is like super low. The impressions are super low. How is that happening? I get it from like us smaller accounts that are just kind of lost in the crowd.
Mm-hmm.
But when this is an account that like millions of people follow and look up to and are like, this person's like amazing, big time designer, and they're posting stuff that's like, I don't know, my views are sucky right now. Don't you think it, like, how is that not the algorithm? Because people are still wanting to see their stuff probably, right?
Sure. Yeah, no, I think so. But they're also getting distracted by other people's content. Yes, granted, in the very beginning, I think people forget the fact that there's more and more players to the game every single minute.
I mean, that's true.
Every single minute. And people don't realize that is there's so much content that's being put up. So it's not necessarily people are sitting there twiddling their thumbs and be like, if only there was another Chris Loves Julie out there that we could follow. They're not doing that. They're just going like,
this is cool.
Yeah. They haven't put out a video. They haven't put out a blog post or whatever. Like, but they did, and that caught my attention. And you clicked on this new account. Well, because you clicked on that account, now you're going to be catered more and more stuff that's outside of your comfort level. I guarantee you this. Go type in anything, any kind of new random search term, and do it for 1 or 2 days in a row where you type that subject. The rest of your content is going to be recurated where the people that you follow is going to go below, and this new thing is going to be on top.
Or even if you click on a post, just like from the popular page, one post.
Right.
The next time you go to the popular page, all your posts are going to be of that, whatever it is,
and
topic.
It's to the point that even if you scrolled over it, so if you go on a discovery
page.
Yes,
if you like slowly scroll over it, you stop.
You see this multi-million, it'll say like $10 million yacht.
Yeah,
it says like a helicopter. And you slow down. Guess what the rest weeks of content is going to be?
I noticed that.
That means the accounts that you love near and dear that provide a lot of information for you, like Chris Loves Julie,
anymore.
They're now below it.
And the thing is, it's not like you're remembering, oh, you know what I haven't seen in a while? This person's content. You're not searching for them. You're just being fed whatever Instagram is feeding you. So it's like, I understand that part of it. I think it's just, you're right. There's just so many people.
But that $1 million yacht caught your attention. No, but I mean,
$1 million.
No, but what I mean by it, and that $1 million yacht can be that perspective could be applied to anything else. But it's just like that thumbnail or that little 3-second trailer that you hover over on the Discovery thing. That was enough for it to catch your attention, and it won. So you have to now constantly think of like, how do I catch people's attention without, wearing bikinis and lingerie? I mean, that's the reality of the game. It's like that's the content.
What is it going to get people to
And the hardest people to be in this game are the people who are like, I'm just kind of doing this for fun. Those are the hardest people. When you burn bridges and you're like, I can't go back to the hospital, I can't do this other thing, then unfortunately, that's your superpower. Because now you're like, well, I can't sleep in. I got to wake up because I cannot afford to go back to my old job kind of thing. The people who go, I do this for fun, and if it makes me a bunch of money one day, that'll be incredible. Those are the people who don't make it. Because those are people who don't know how to adapt. They're half-assing it. They're sleeping in. You gotta you gotta burn your bridges. If you don't have a bridge to cross, then you have to outwork the next person to you. So to me, I have to outwork the competition that's out there, and I have to use every part of my energy, every part of my brain to be like, how do I get your attention to watch my stuff?
So do you think there's people out there who, I'm sure there are, that kind of have been half-assing it, but also are growing like crazy?
Yes,
those are the 1%ers.
But they found a thing. They found this niche. They found this really like a particular niche thing that like nobody else have done it that way.
So even if they post like once a week, they're still growing.
They maybe are like a very funny person and they're providing informative information, but they're presenting it like, okay, here's a great example. Neil deGrasse, there's thousands, hundreds and thousands of scientists in this world, but you have Neil deGrasse Tyson who figured out a way how to present this knowledge in a very digestible, entertaining way. So now you're like, I am interested in about asteroids. I am interested in, plate tectonics and stuff like that. So that is somebody who figured out a different approach. So, but I also don't think half-assing it gets you anywhere anymore.
Half-assery. and I would never, I've spoken to a few people that we had guests on this podcast who are content creators, and they're somewhat in my field of work or genre. And in a very selfish way, I would probably say, yes, I'm working harder than they are, but working harder and working smarter are two different things, right? I think there was like there's some people we had on the podcast where I was like, so how'd you get to this? How'd you figure out that you need to tie in this kind of approach to present information like this? And they're like, I don't even know how to use my analytics. I was just kind of doing me. And those are the 1%ers. Those are the people who are like, they figured out a very natural, organic thing, and they're just that's them doing them. And I can't say that I work harder than them. I think I would say I'm trying harder than them because things are not working. But they figured out a way how to be them. And they're still working hard, but maybe they're not trying as hard because they don't have to try hard. Yeah, because it's working.
Right. They're still working hard, but they're maybe not trying to. Because when you're trying hard, you're trying to figure out why it's not working.
Yes.
And for them, they figured out that it is working. Well, and then one day it will stop working for them as much, so they will still have to have the same conversation that I'm having.
Everybody goes through that, yeah. You can only climb that fast for so long until something plateaus.
Like I said, it's hard, absolutely. And that's what I said. It's really difficult to do this kind of work when it's just like your side gig, because it just takes 3 to 5 projects that don't do really well for you.
And then you're like over it.
And you're like, I'm frustrated. The algorithm has changed this and this other thing. Versus when you're like, I'm sick, I still have to go to work. Those are the people that get shit done. So it's a blessing and a curse to do this for fun or to do it as a full-time job.
Both are hard.
And you got to wonder, like, why do you want to do it, right? I think I have the greatest job in the world, but the thing is, the highs are the highest and the lows are the lowest. And you have to almost reprogram your brain to go, do not celebrate the success, because for every celebrated success, there's an equal amount of videos that you felt really shitty about, that didn't perform well, or the really mean people who said something.
Right.
So I don't focus. I have to teach myself to not focus on the nice things and not focus on the bad things. Just try as neutral, and just something comes out, cool, and then get to the next one. And that is the only way I think to make it. Yeah,
you have to have a perspective of like, well, this one did great, but I have to focus on the next one. And also, what if the next one doesn't do great?
It is it's mind-boggling to me how much a success of a video has to do with not only the subject, but the thumbnail.
That is insane.
You can create an incredible HDTV project, but if your thumbnail presentation was subpar, that video does not have the opportunity for the success.
Which is scary.
But if you have an incredible idea, you can have subpar presentation, right? So if you're like, I built a house out of a rock, like out of a clay or something, or not a clay, out of a cliff or a mount, whatever. That idea is so wild that people want to watch it, even if it's filmed with a little GoPro camera or your cell phone. And
even if the thumbnail is not great?
Even if the thumbnail could be subpar. And I know this because I've had some in the very beginning. It was wild. I built a 10-person walk-in shower out of the bathtub thing. The thumbnail was not great. The thumbnail was fine, but it wasn't that great. And this is back when I still shot with the tripod. That video did more views than any of my videos put together because the idea was so wild. At that point, it didn't exist.
I thought it was the thumbnail that got it because you were wearing just the towel.
Yeah, but here's the silly thing about that kind of like scandalous presentation of content. It's not like it's girls watching. It's 80%, 88%
so it
of my
wasn't
male
really that.
audience. So it's not even that. It's the fact that like this thing was ripped out and that happened to be a thing on top of it. That's all it was. So you got to chase ideas, you know? So if you have a killer idea, you can go film it with your iPhone. If you have a mediocre idea that has potential, then you really got to set up the presentation. And that's how the internet works.
Them's internets.
Yeah.
It's a hard world out there, man. I feel, and it's like always changing. And I think that's really hard as well, because you're supposed to adapt and change with it. But when you're so used to doing it a certain way, to have to change that is annoying.
The highs are high and the lows are low, and you got to figure out what your place in it, even at whatever work schedule that you have, that you're like, I'm going to put out this much. It's going to be part-time, full-time, whatever time it's going to be. But man, do you have to prep your mind in a way where you go, the highs are high and the lows are low, and how do I stay in the middle? Because if you don't, you're just going to give it all up.
Yeah.
And here's another theory that I had behind it. I remember you and I were talking about people who are taking like a month or two off from social media. They're like, I'm going on this hiatus. And you go, well, aren't you going to lose your momentum? And I just saw this little small case study with Casey Neistat, this little small account guy named
Just
Casey.
a small guy. Just little old Casey.
Casey is one of my favorite people that I got into watching vlog stuff. But Casey took off close to almost like 2 years off from vlogging. And he kind of focused on his family life and all this stuff. And he got back at it.
Is he back?
He's back. They moved back to New York from LA. They're
No
back at
way.
it.
Why did they move back?
Just because the homelessness and all this stuff.
In LA.
Yeah. Literally, he took 2 years off, and video after video, multi-million views. That's because this is a guy who knows he's done it long enough. He has figured out how to catch people's attention with the subject, the title, and the thumbnail.
Doesn't even
and the
matter
story,
if
obviously.
he's been gone. Yeah. Do you think part of it is too that he's already established a name that people are like, ooh, Casey, like that's got to be part of it too.
1,000%. But at the same time, you got to think about YouTube is not promoting it. So it's not like he has this advantage anymore where you're like before, if he was. So he used to do daily vlogging where every single day after midnight, he would upload a new video from that day. And people usually that do that are the people who are trying to get indexed and ride that surfer wave of content creation within the algorithm. When you take 2 years off, you're no longer mom and dad's favorite, right? But if you know how to present content very well in a captivating way, including thumbnail and subject, and tell a good story, then you can come in and out of this game anytime you want. But he's a storyteller. He's a videographer. He's a cinematographer. He's a director. Like, he knows storytelling.
Well, I think that's part of being the 1% for him is he knows how to talk, how to captivate, like with camera angles and that quick, what is it called? Quick cuts.
Yeah. He's competing for people's attention.
And you're right. He knows. He's done it long enough where he knows. So it's like people are like right back into watching.
So Casey does not need to go, I need a fancier camera. He's like, I could take 2 years off, take an iPhone,
And
go
still
crazy,
do well.
and still do exceptionally well.
Yeah.
With the help of a little bit of Photoshop,
I guess.
Contrast.
Yeah. I guess for the rest of us, it's always just learning how to keep getting better.
How to tell a story better, yeah.
How to tell a story better, how to film better, how to take better photos,
Yeah.
it's all editing, all of it.
Yeah.
Just be better.
Be better, people. It's simple. YouTube's a simple game. Just like golf.
Just like golf. You look
Simple
like you're
game.
ready to go golfing.
Thanks.
But you're not.
I was going to golf today, and when our tee time was booked for 8:10, it was 24 degrees outside.
So you said no thank you.
And I was exceptionally optimistic, thinking that I could play winter golf. And even my excuse was like, we got to walk because if we ride, we're going to be even colder. And then 24 degrees.
You're like, you're going to be cold no matter what.
My joints are going to be so stiff.
No matter how much you walk.
So it's back on the simulator. Yep.
When does that video come out?
It is going to come out. What's today? Today's the 11th. It's going to go out end of this month.
Nice.
Yeah, and I built a golf simulator, so this is a little sneak peek. Haven't been promoted anywhere. Nobody knows about it except for the beautiful podcast family. I built a at-home golf simulator in the garage. It is a 10 by 10 by 10 enclosure structure with projector and turf and bar setup. Well, kind of like a hangout, LEDs and
It's a quaint little
TVs,
space.
Quaint little space, yeah. So be on the lookout for that one. It's probably one of my favorite builds because how much fun I'm having.
Because you're using it all the time.
A lot, yeah.
Every
And
day.
you could still park your car, which is a great thing.
It's literally a little like roof
a
from
little
by the
roof.
hood of my car.
Yeah. So
It's
if we ever
amazing.
get snow through the roof, it comes through.
It's great. Great. As long as I can park my car in the garage, that was
Yeah.
the deal.
Yeah.
So you made it happen.
Yep. Even Steven. Folks, thanks for listening. We'll catch you on the next one. Make sure you watch from some of these videos.
Happy
There's
to
one
be
dropping
back
today.
this time.
Happy to be back this time. Back on video.
Back on video.
All right. We'll see you soon, guys. Bye.
Bye.